How Self and External Distractions Affect the Workplace by Deborah Plates, George Johnson, Subin Sung, Kevin Chavez, and Ashley Garcia. Introduction. The intended purpose of our research is to analyze how minimizing distractions can increase a company's economic growth and improve the concentration of employees. In order for a business to grow, employees need to stay on their toes and keep an eye out for opportunities that can help benefit the company. Unfortunately, distractions exist all around us, which prevents the company's productivity to flourish. Nevertheless, there are a lot of factors that can break an employee's concentration. Ineffectively, concentration is broken relatively within every minute because of ongoing email alerts, phone calls, text messages, a direct message from social media, and/or unexpected visits. However, if we don't find ways to reduce them, it can eventually lead the company to failure. Our position. Any effective and successful business knows that it is important to increase productivity in the workplace. With the growth in productivity, a company can consume and produce more goods and services. Therefore, we believe that minimizing distractions in the workplace can increase a company's economic growth. Methodology. This paper will consist of journals, articles, and real-life situations to prove that reducing personal and external distractions in the workplace can create a more productive environment. We will conduct a survey with a sample size of 56 employees from international businesses. The intentions of the survey is to determine how easily distracted employees are in the workplace, what are the distractions they face, and how it affects them. In addition, during the interview process, we will ask 5 managers what distractions they and their employees face, what they do to prevent them, and how their employees' productivity has grown since then. The review of literature for our paper will consist of 2 topics: self-distractions and external distractions. Self-distractions in the workplace. The most common self-distraction that affects people at work is being on their phone. As it shows in the article by John Rafton, he states, the 12 common workplace distractions are smartphones, emails, background noise, people interruptions, clutter, multitasking, coworkers, micromanagement, hunger, needlessly strict policies, meetings, and decision fatigue. We would have to agree with John Rafton about his article because in our surveys it showed that the top distraction in the workplace was a smartphone. Also, Rachel Pelta says, while nearly every employee reports that they experience negative impacts from office distractions, what those distractions are and how they impact employee performance varies by generation. We would have to agree with these, that it's becoming more common in our generation now, more than ever, with how advanced technology has become over the years. It has made it easier to distract yourself while trying to work, as you have your phone with you wherever you go, and to make it even more difficult nowadays, you don't have to take your phone out, as they make watches with the phone inside of them to access it easier. As mentioned before, smartphones are one of the top distractions at work. Smartphones contain apps like Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter, which are causing our generation to become more distracted at work. We are taking pictures, making videos, and talking about coworkers through these apps. These apps are allowing us to be more distracted than ever, and we are not giving our best capability. However, there are other ways for us to get distracted by our phones by not being on them. For example, if we get a message, email alert, or an alert on our phone, it can cause us to look at it and distract us from our work. Another thing that goes with receiving alert at work is that it's not only distracting you, but it's also distracting your coworkers. We believe that all other distractions are very common and can be just as bad as the phone being out, but the smartphone must be the biggest self-distraction. Another self-distraction can be talking too much. When you talk to an employee, it should be about work and not about what you're doing for lunch or what you're doing after work. These common self-distractions can cause you to go at a slow pace and not do what you need to be doing at work. Talking can not only cause you to get distracted, but your coworkers can suffer as well by having to hear a conversation while they're trying to focus on their job. Now, after going over self-distractions in the workplace, There are also external distractions that are causing us to decrease productivity in the workplace. There is an unlimited amount of external distractions that can keep a person unfocused, whether it is from a conversation overheard about last night's game to another person's phone constantly vibrating from notification. It is normal for a person to be distracted because, in truth, without notice, most people are looking for the distraction. In an article by Joel Faulkner, he states, "Much of the time, we succumb to these distractions because we're looking for one, such as when we check email or feeds when we should be working on something with substance." In easier words, everyone gets distracted, and it is very normal to be distracted by the littlest things. For example, if someone screams next to you, it is an instinct that makes you look at that person. There are many ways to overcome these distractions. For example, instead of studying at a cafe, go to a school library and go to the most quiet floor so that all you hear is the sound of your breathing. In Forbes' article by Jacqueline Smith, she claims, "People's work styles are different. Some of us are naturally more distractible, or more social, or more physically restless. Rather than beating yourself up for your lack of focus, experiment to learn what works for you." She is basically saying, look for a way that's best for you to concentrate. For example, my personal way is to get to my school's library whether I have class that day or not. Everyone is going to be distracted in some type of way, and it is their responsibility to overcome that. Now for the survey portion of our project. How many people get easily distracted while being at work? The intended purpose of the survey was to identify what individuals in the workplace consider to be distractions, and what can help those distractions lead the company to be a more productive environment, then lead the company to an economic growth. The survey consisted of 6 questions that was delivered electronically to 56 individuals that are all part of a workforce. 44.4% of the respondents agreed to being easily distracted while being at work. A little less than half of our respondents are easily distracted. We then asked what individuals consider to be most distracting while being at work. With this question, the respondents were able to pick one or more distractions, but even then, 61.1% of our residents believe phone rings and alerts to be the most number one distraction at work, followed by nearby group meetings and outside sounds. There was an other option that allowed the respondents to elaborate in detail what they believe to consider distractions in the workplace. Responses are as followed: seeing things happen when I can't get to it right away. I feel like it slows down the task that I'm currently on. Someone else said, a mix of things from the list above, and in my case, multitasking. Another said boredom, arguments, and coworkers. It is interesting to grasp that there is a mix of interruptions happening on a day-to-day basis that can cause unpredictable behavior and unproductive behavior. The lack of engagement a worker has towards the task at hand can lead to boredom, triggering the employee to be distracted and not productive. We subsequently asked if employees believe management causes employees to be distracted by allowing office celebrations, such as birthdays, retirements, and new babies. 91.7% believed to think it was not a distraction, and 8.3% stating it was a distraction. The following question was to evaluate if employees could leave their personal problems at the door before going into work. The question reads, 91.7% stated yes, 2.8% stated no, and 5.6% commented. It is daunting that almost all the respondents believe personal problems are brought into work, causing them to be unproductive. Question 5 asks for the individuals to rate the following distractions, being smartphones, gossiping and chatty coworkers, meetings, and personal issues. The objective of this question was to see if by having different options, phones would overpower all distractions. The survey participants clearly believe smartphones and alerts are the cause of distractions, followed by gossiping while being at work. Gossip can not only take time out of the day to complete daily distractions, but in the long run will create tension between colleagues that will lead to unproductivity and unhealthy/stressful atmospheres. Lastly, we ask, in a few words, please explain what you think can help reduce distractions in the workplace. Most of the participants said having no cell phones while being at work will decrease distractions in the workplace. Also, some state having small 5-minute self-care breaks will allow the employees to be focused, causing them to be more productive throughout the day rather than being constantly sidetracked. Others state having more support from managers will increase productivity rather than having managers also a part of the gossip and interacting with their employees and having the managers strictly act professional. Furthermore, they state that having a strict policy on not completing tasks will cause employees not to allow themselves to be distracted, knowing there will be consequences. The surveys were conducted at different locations to show that most people agree that having less usage of phones and less time interacting with employees will help reduce distractions in the workplace, causing them to help the company build and sustain economic growth. The interview portion of our project consisted of asking the managers the same questions that we have asked the employees to get their opinion on the matter. We got slightly different results on account of the manager's experience over the years and what worked best on a large scale with their workforce. All workplaces have different priorities, protocol, work regulations, and rules. We have asked that the managers answer the questions with their team in mind, what they see that impacts their team, and why to implement the protocols that work for them. When asked the question, how distracted are employees, 5 out of 5 managers answered that they do not allow the usage of personal phones when employees are on the clock. They have to put their phones away in their drawer or locker before they clock in for work and are only allowed to use it when they're on break or lunch. 3 out of 5 managers agree that nearby group meetings are distracting. All meetings are important and it affects the business and company as a whole, big or small. Employees want to know what is going on and what are the changes that they will need to accommodate. 2 out of 5 said that outside noise affects the workplace. This can range from police or fire truck sirens to loud bypassers yelling. But this is just a small distraction, nothing major that should stop all employees from doing their job. 5 out of 5 managers agreed that there are many other things that can affect the focus of their employees. On the other hand, the managers that notice their entire staff gets distracted easily have made work rules and regulations that they must follow. They have explained their reasoning and they think that it is natural for the human brain to wander off when at work, but they try to keep it down to a minimum by regulating the employees to only discuss and focus on their job when they are on the clock. This means no personal emails are being checked or sent out, no usage of personal cell phones, only with work phones that are available to each person, and no web search when on the clock. All decisions must be work-related and all break and lunch times must be followed down to the minutes. To avoid employees gathering together during work hours, they are all assigned with assignments that need to be accomplished before the day is over. Everyone has their own section to work in. The managers are also asked if they believe that their employees' personal issues affect the work ethics and if it distracts the employees of their daily duties to their work. 3 out of 5 managers have said that yes, they agree that personal issues will carry on to the work involuntarily. Their reason is that everyone has emotions and a full-time employee spends the majority of their day at work. It is hard for an individual to block out their emotions, and they cannot control the effects that the issues cause them to act a certain way. They believe that it is unethical for a manager to ask the employee to leave their baggage elsewhere while they are on the clock. In addition, when asked if the allowance of office celebrations caused distractions amongst employees, 4 out of 5 managers said no. They believe that allowing office parties gives employees incentives to work harder and a way for all employees to bond and build a stronger working environment. This is important and acts as a reward program for all the hard work that the employees have put in. This not only shows the employees that they are appreciated and are more than just a body in the workplace. This makes them feel like they can trust each other, including the managers. On the other hand, the one manager that said the office celebrations are distractions are due to the fact that the days leading up to the celebration might distract the employees of their daily duties. Of course, it's an exciting time for the employees in many ways that we have mentioned above, but with these also comes with slacking. Planning a celebration takes effort and also takes time to make the celebration happen. This manager prefers to have celebrations outside of working hours rather than doing working hours to avoid any distractions towards the daily tasks. To summarize our interview process, the managers answered that there is no personal usage of phones during work hours. They also mentioned that they keep an open mind and listen to employees. They also say that they deal with conflicts head-on and compromise, and they avoid gossip. And the majority of managers said that office celebration builds a strong team. In order to have a successful business, employees have to stay focused and on their toes. However, it can get difficult because our concentration is relatively broken within every minute. Nevertheless, there are a lot of factors that can break an employee's concentration. For instance, self and external distractions. Self-distractions consist of our cell phones, emails, and our mentality. While on the other hand, external distractions include loud noises, email alerts, phones going off, unexpected meetings, and taking on too many tasks at a time. Taking action to reduce the distractions will improve a business's productivity, which will correspondingly increase revenue. The survey concluded that a little less than half of the respondents get easily distracted. The respondents stated smartphones are the primary reason as to why people get distracted. Distractions lead to an unproductive environment that will cause the company to fail. Reducing the distractions will have the company strive for economic success. This proves that reducing self and external distractions will increase productivity in the workplace. To give an example of what distractions are like in the workplace, which may decrease productivity, we have provided real-life scenarios. Here is real-life scenario number 1.
Hello, can I get some help finding a book, please?
Can you hold on a second?
The employee in this video was distracted by her emails and text messages. Because of these distractions, when the customer asked for help, she was unable to help him. Nevertheless, these distractions lowered her productivity level. Now here is real-life scenario 2, in which what minimizing distractions would seem like in the workplace.
Hello, excuse me.
Hello.
Can I get some help finding a book?
In this scenario, we provided an example of what the workplace would be like when minimizing distractions. Instead of answering the phone, the employee hung up and went back to work and helped the customer with what they needed. Therefore, minimizing distractions increases productivity. Here is another real-life scenario in which 2 employees are gossiping rather than helping a customer out.
Did you see what Georgia's wearing? Yeah, he's wearing a sea sweater. Can you believe it? I thought it was a Cal Poly Pomona. I heard they wear better.
Aren't you guys supposed to be doing your work right now?
Yeah, we're getting there. Done.
Did you finish the assignment I asked you to do?
No, but I'm halfway there.
Okay, just make sure to finish it by the end of the day.
Okay.
You too, Aisha.
Okay.
In this scenario, both employees were gossiping about a customer because of the sweater he was wearing. Both employees were distracted by gossiping and were unable to complete their given tasks. Gossiping not only takes time out of the day to complete daily tasks, but in the long run, it will lead to unproductivity. Now here's a good real-life scenario in which both employees decided not to gossip and get straight back to work.
Oh, excuse me. You dropped this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have you guys done the assignment I asked you to do?
Yes, I'm actually sending it now.
Okay. Just make sure to send it, and then you guys can leave it later.
Okay, thank you.
In this scenario, instead of gossiping about the customer, one of the employees got up to help him. Because they didn't gossip about the customer, they were able to get their project done as their manager asked them to.